All right, welcome class. In today's daily journal, we're going to talk a little bit about something called gender stereotypes. Gender stereotypes are uh, kind of definitions that society, that our culture has about how boys and girls are supposed to act. And sometimes that's different than the way that we really want to act or behave. To begin with, I want you to pull out your daily journal notebook and go ahead and write down beyond gender stereotypes. That's those words on the left side there. Some big words beyond gender stereotypes. We're just going to talk a little bit about kind of what that means here. Before we begin, I want you to take some time and take a look at this picture and observe and think to yourself, or sort of take note to yourself, what do you observe about this picture? What do you see? What are some details you notice? And what comes to mind? All right. We'll be talking about and sharing some of those details at today's all-class meeting. All right, how do gender stereotypes shape our experiences? How do the beliefs in our culture about how we're supposed to act, how does that shape our experience in life? I wonder have you ever heard some of these statements, or do you feel like these are things that you've kind of seen in TV or in video games? Ideas like girls worrying too much about how they look, or that girls are weak, or girls can't play sports, or girls don't like science. What do you think about those statements? Do you agree or do you disagree? Do you know any girls that are like that, or do you know any girls that aren't like that? How about boys? Boys are all competitive and they like to win. Boys are all aggressive and loud. Boys don't care about little kids. Boys don't like art. What do you think about those statements? Do you know any boys that are like that? Do you know any boys that aren't like that? Let's talk a little bit about what gender stereotypes are. A gender stereotype is an oversimplified idea about how we should be based on gender. Oversimplified means they're not really thinking about what are you really like and how is each person different. It kind of says that all boys are the same and all girls are the same. That's what oversimplified means. And a bias, it's an unfair belief about a person or a group based on a stereotype. So you might be picking people for a game of tag, say, for instance, and because of the stereotypes about boys being aggressive and playing sports, you might pick boys before girls, even though there may be girls who are faster. That's a bias towards boys playing sports, and it's not necessarily true. So how about a reflection in your journal now? Time to do some writing. I'm going to ask some questions here, and you can go ahead and pause the video if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and read through the questions, and you can pause and do some writing. I'd like you to write at least one sentence for each of these questions. The first question is, can you think of any shows or video games that are designed for boys or for girls specifically? So are there any video games or shows that you can think of that are only designed for boys or only designed for girls that you think? All right, next question, and I'll just read through them and then you can spend some time doing some writing. The next question is, what differences do you notice between those shows or video games? Can you name a few examples? Do these fit any gender stereotypes? How are those games or shows, how do they fit some of those gender stereotypes that we talked about? And last, have you ever had an experience where the things you like don't fit those stereotypes? And how did that make you feel? We'll spend some time sharing some of our thoughts in our all-class meeting today. But the important thing that I would like us all to take away is that idea that we talked about in the first week of school, is that we get to define who we are. That means other people don't get to tell us, for example, what we are called, only we do. And other people also don't get to tell us what we like. Everybody likes what they like, and no one else gets to decide that for you. So next time you see a gender stereotype in a video game or a TV show, just remember to yourself that we define who we are. We get to decide what we like, and you don't need to feel bossed around by some of that culture into feeling bad about who you are, or believing that the stuff that you like is anything less than perfect. All right, I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to our discussion this afternoon. Make sure you've got your notebook ready and handy when we meet later on today.